What's going on, everybody? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and a lot of you have asked me a basic question. Hey, Doc, are we headed for a recession? Well, I've been thinking about that word recession for a while and wondering if we could be headed for a recession. And I've come to some conclusions, and I want to share some of that with you guys today on the Black Financial Channel. So go ahead and get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day, under one condition. The condition is that we are Black first. There's nothing wrong with being Black. You should be proud to be Black, and you want to raise healthy, intelligent Black children. If you agree with that philosophy, we call it the B1 philosophy. Put a hashtag B and the number one in the chat, hashtag B1. Hello, Chase Gordon, Mike Jones, Des the Hebrew, Ty Tomlitz. I see you. I see you. And I see everybody on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram at the Black Financial Channel. So everybody go to Instagram and find the Black Financial Channel on Instagram. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, all that. Let's get it cracking. How many of you, give me a yes or no in the chat. How many of you think that we could be headed to a recession? How many of you suspected on your own, just on your own volition, just in terms of the information you've been taking in, that we could be headed to a recession, a depression, or something worse, a crash, a bubble bursting? How many of you already kind of feel a little bit nervous about that? Give me a yes or no in the chat. All right, so let's see. What was the first yes? I saw a yes. There we go. Shavante says yes, and I see some other yeses in here. All right, so here's the deal. Jeremy Carson, who also said yes, and a few others. I'm going to tell you that, just to give you the short version of this, based on research I've been doing, I believe there's going to be a recession. There is probably going to be a recession, and let me tell you why there's going to be a recession. I got to give you just a tiny bit of background so you can understand where this logic comes from. The Federal Reserve right now, and you've heard me talk about this on this channel, the Federal Reserve is in the middle of what they call a tightening cycle. Tightening is when they increase interest rates. They have something called the federal funds rate, which is basically, think of it like a water faucet. When you turn the faucet on, water's coming out. Money is called liquidity. So it's like you turn on the faucet, liquidity, the water's just flowing out. That's what they did during the pandemic, because they thought there'd be a drought. Anybody, I don't know if anybody remembers E40. If you're really a hip hop head, you remember E40 had a song called "The Drought Season," right? The drought season is when resources are scarce. The drought season is when liquidity is hard to come by. The drought season is when there is no water. So the Fed's job as the water company is to turn on the spigot and let the water come out when they think we're headed to a drought season. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you're following what I'm saying. I don't want to make this too complex, but I got to make sure you understand what's going on. So because we thought we were entering into the drought season at the start of the pandemic, the Fed said, "Oh no, drought season. Let's turn the water on. Let's call the fire department. Let's get it real wet up in here." So they had this water flowing out. And then what happened was there was a point where a lot of economists, myself included, were basically, you guys know my PhDs in finance. This is what I do. We were all kind of saying, like, okay, it's not really a drought season, dude. You don't have to keep on pouring water in the fire. So imagine you think somebody said that they think the house is burning down. So they call the fire department. Everybody's spraying water everywhere. And then you say, wait a minute, there is no fire. There is no fire. In fact, the baby's drowning now because you got too much water. Now you got a flood. Now you have a flood, right? And so basically the Fed flooded the economy with so much liquidity that it caused a lot of just unexpected problems. Somewhat expected. It caused an inflationary problem because, your currency does have less value than it did before. It also at the same time, the pandemic itself caused a lot of supply chain problems, which reduces supply of goods, which causes that inflation that everybody's been talking about. On top of that, you had pretty high demand, where people were still buying things. So you have people bored, sitting at home, buying stuff, while the people that are supplying the stuff that they're supposed to buy are not able to supply those things. So you mix high demand with low supply, where you're going to get a higher price, especially when you're dumping liquidity onto the market. Give me a yes or no if you follow what I'm saying. I don't want to talk over anybody's head. I want you to understand what's going on. So basically, the Fed then reverses and says, holy crap, we've done too much. We're drowning the baby. We've poured too much liquidity on this thing. we got to go backward and we have to start tightening. They have to go through the tightening cycle, right? So they have to go in and clean up the mess that they've created. They have to go confront the inflation issue. And the way they confront it is by increasing interest rates. Well, the problem with increasing interest rates is that it does slow the economy down. That's what you're deliberately doing. You're saying, whoa, Kemosabe, like Lone Ranger, you're saying, whoa, Kemosabe, you're slowing it down so that you don't have inflation going out of control. Well, here's the problem. This is what I wanted to get to. So forgive me if that it took a couple minutes to get to the point, but I wanted to make sure you guys understand what's going on. Research shows that in 8 of the last 9 times that the Federal Reserve has engaged in a tightening cycle, there has been a recession. Do you understand what I'm saying? 8 of the last 9 times that the Fed decided, hey, we got to deal with inflation, we're going to slow things down, you have had a recession. There was only one exception. The exception was 1994. That was the only time they did it right. The only time they did it right. So ultimately, since 1961, in the 9 times that they have engaged in a tightening cycle, 8 of those 9 times has led to a recession. This is why I wanted to let you guys know you're probably going to have a recession. A recession is not the end of the world, but it does mean that, things are going to change. You may want to get prepared. You may want to, really stack your chips. You may want to make sure you have your options open. You may want to get your secondary streams of income moving. You may want to put some hustle into building that business. You may want to store your nuts for the winter, whatever it takes to get ready, because now you might really have a drought season. And the problem is that when the drought season does arrive, if this recession comes, which I believe is going to come 8 out of 9, that's a pretty high percentage, that the problem is that your fire department has used up all the water. They used up all the water spraying and liquidity on a fire that did not exist. There was no fire. There was no economic downturn during the recession. It's crazy. And here's the other interesting dynamic of all this, and just in terms of the recession and the impact. One of the big problems that they're having that they did not anticipate is that the labor supply has gone down. During the pandemic, they gave the whole world a taste of something I've been talking to you guys about for years. Because, you guys know we have something in the Black Business School called the Black Wealth Boot Camp, where we've always been talking to people about getting off the corporate plantation. And I've been telling people, I had to convince my wife, who goes to work every day. I said, babe, if people knew how much better your life is when you don't have to go to work every day, everybody will be doing this. I just discovered it by accident, because white folks didn't want to hire me like that because I was a little bit too black. My credentials were solid, but I was a little bit too black. So I decided to create my own business because I said, me and you can't live under the same roof. I'm my own man. I got to have my own stuff. And I understand that, right? But I remember saying to her, I said, if people knew how great it is to be at home with your kids instead of spending all your time with your boss, to sleep in instead of having to get up at 6 a.m, to be able to work from home as opposed to having to go to a job every day, I don't think people will go back to what they were doing before. I've almost never met a person. I don't know how many of y'all work from home. How many of y'all stay home with a business or whatever it is you do to make your money? Give me a yes in the chat if you're in that category. There's something about freedom where once you get a taste of it, you rarely go back. I don't think I know anybody who ever quit their job and decided, oh yeah, I got to go back to corporate because the money ain't right. Usually what they'll do is they'll say, oh, I got to start a new business. I have to do some networking. I have to do some marketing. I got to find some other hustles. But going back to work, the cost is too high. The cost is too high. The cost is your life, man. You're giving, think about this. You go to work 40 hours a week. For 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 hours a year of your life. You only have 8,760 hours in a year. And about a third of that time, you're asleep. Process this for a moment. Let me do some little math right quick. I don't know if y'all heard this from anybody else, but I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into the mind of Boyce Watkins, like how I think, right? I was like, okay, there's 8,760 hours in a year. About 2,800 of those hours you're asleep. So you have about 6,000 hours a year that are yours. A third of those hours are spent at your damn job. 2,000 out of the 6,000 is spent at the job, but then you probably spend another 500 to 1,000 going back and forth to the job, going to work, getting ready for work, resting up so you can get to work. So you're spending approximately about 40% of your waking hours on this earth engaged with some shit that you probably don't even want to do anyway. You're doing it for the money. And the crazy part is it's not even a lot of money. It's not like they're giving you millions to give up your life. You're getting like rent money, right? It's crazy, right? I'm not surprised at all that people don't want to go to work, but this is one of the unexpected consequences that the Fed is facing as they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we avoid a recession where they say, holy crap, we can't get people to go back to work. And believe me, if you think that I believe that they're going to try little tricks and try to pin you down somehow with debt or whatever it is, right, to get you to go back to work, yeah, they probably will. That's what they do. That's what industrialists do. They create social movements. There are even theories out there that where the Rockefellers allegedly, this is. It depends on how what you believe, but there are theories out there to say that even things like some of the feminism or civil rights movements were orchestrated by corporations to basically expand the labor force, or that wars are started so that the industrialists can get more people on the job, right? So that because that's productivity, national productivity helps the country do better economically, but more importantly, it helps. Well, not more importantly, but more significantly, it helps the rich really get richer. Now, I'm not saying you can have your own judgment on that. I'm not here to tell you what you should think about that, but that's kind of how that game works, right? I understand these things pretty well, I guess, because that's what I do. And so, anyway, I'm going to share one more interesting point with you about the politics of all this. And before I do that, could you do me one quick solid and hit the subscribe button if you are online? Subscribe, thumbs up, share, all that good stuff. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can go to intelligentblackpeople.com and become a patron. We believe in intelligence. We believe black men and black women are best when we are thinkers and we are hardworking and we love our families and we do good things in the world. That's what I just believe in, and that's what we stand for. So if you're in that class, then you're in the right place. Now, let's see. Jeremy Carson, thank you for your donation. He says, how would you think a bailout of the working class affects the threat of a recession? I think a bailout of the working class would be beautiful. The problem is that the people that are in power are very wealthy. Nancy Pelosi is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't really see how she is really going to be connected to the plight of the working class. Raphael Warnock, a black politician, he had to get elected. Corporations had to give him $250 million. I don't think a guy in that situation is gonna have the working class interest at the top of his priority list because he can't do that, right? He has to take care of the corporations that put him in office, or he won't have a job, right? So ultimately, I don't personally think that a bailout of the working class is ever going to occur in a capitalist society. You can do with it as you wish. If you're a Marxist, maybe you're thinking we should destroy capitalism. It's on you. I'm not going to judge that because there are some good ideas in Marxism. I'm not a Marxist. I'm not a capitalist, but I understand those ideas and I respect them all. Right. So here's the last piece that's really interesting in terms of the politics of a recession. And again, the recession that I believe is gonna come up. Also, I believe that it's not just going to be a recession. A recession I can handle, right? What you really got to think about is you may have a crash. I mean, literally just a straight bubble bursting. Back in the 2000s, Alan Greenspan was the chairman of the Federal Reserve. He got a lot of credit for what they call it, quantitative easing and boosting the economy. And he talked about things like irrational exuberance, and he really got a lot of credit for being this great chairman of the Fed because he created this amazing economy with all this growth and prosperity and everything else. Well, does anybody remember what happened at the end of the 2000s though? When right before Obama got into office, what happened to the economy? Well, the entire real estate market just collapsed, absolutely, totally collapsed, and a lot of that was because of what Greenspan did. And there are lots of people in that situation. Jack Welch at GE, same thing. He got all this credit for being this great CEO of GE, but then later on, GE paid a price for the policies Jack Welch implemented. Lee Iacocca used to get all this credit for being this great leader of Chrysler. Well, after Iacocca left, from what I understand, Chrysler took a dive, right? A lot of bad things happened as a result of policies. So my point here is to say that sometimes something glitters, and it's not because it's really gold. It's because somebody painted it gold, and eventually the paint wears off, and you see that it was really just a piece of aluminum that looked like gold, that was made to look bright and shiny. So a lot of times these policies have long-term implications that you don't see because you're getting the short-term benefits. It's like if I go out and I go and get a bunch of money off the family credit card, and I come home to my wife and I say, hey baby, we're gonna have a big party and take a nice vacation because I got $10,000 extra right now. Well, later on that bill is coming. That bill is coming. And in America, you have a lot of this happening because your politicians are only thinking about getting reelected. They're not really thinking about the long-term implications of America. So the Chinese are in a huge strategic advantage to America because they don't make 3, 4, 5-year plans. They're not planning for the next quarter. They're planning for the next generation. They're not planning for the next 3 or 4 years. They're planning for the next 40 or 50 years. They're not thinking about what's going to happen in the next election cycle. They're thinking, about the year 2070, right? So for Black people, what I encourage you to do, remember, y'all know I'm not a finance professor who just happens to be Black. I'm a Black man who happens to be a finance professor. So it doesn't mean you have to be Black to be here, but I'm thinking about my community first. And I encourage every Black person listening, I would not embrace hardcore capitalism. I would not embrace ideas just because that's what everybody's doing. I would not just follow what corporations and the government's doing because they're doing things wrong. They're going to destroy this country. I encourage you to think long term, think intergenerationally, think about sacrifices you can make now that will have long-term benefits as opposed to having short-term benefits that have long-term sacrifices. I want you to have short-term sacrifices that have long-term benefits. That means investing for your family. That means thinking about how you educate your kids. That means planning ahead. If you do basic things like that, then not only can you overcome racism, but you can actually take the lead when it comes to economic accumulation in your community, okay? But you got to be the canary in the mine. You got to read the books. You got to take in the information. You have to make a plan. You agreed? Give me a yes in the chat if you agree, or hashtag B1 if you agree. One little thing I'll mention here too, politically, just as a side note, is that the Democrats are in trouble in the next election. And the reason they're in trouble in the next set of elections is because a lot of this inflation is happening on their watch. So the Democrats are kind of between a rock and a hard place. Here's what's interesting, right? Number one, they don't want the Fed to increase interest rates because that could cause a recession. If it causes a recession, then people are going to get mad at the Democrats. Like, you caused a recession. Joe Biden caused a recession. Joe Biden didn't really do it, but that's how politics works, right? But then if they don't raise interest rates and you get inflation, well, then people are going to get mad at the Democrats again. They're going to say, hey, you caused inflation. My gas prices are too high. My rent's too high, right? And all this other stuff, right? So really the Democrats are between a rock and a hard place. The Republicans are going to retake power. And again, as a Black man, I can just tell you guys, I don't really care much about the Democrat-Republican nonsense. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm just Black, and I'm Black every day of the week, and that's what I'm going to be. Period. And that's what I believe. All right. So anyway, guys, that's really it. That's what I wanted to share with you. Get ready. If the recession comes, the world's not coming to an end. Maybe you can buy some stocks cheap. Just get ready. Store your nuts for the winter. Keep investing consistently. Everything's going to be great. So thank you, Black Barbie, for your donation, by the way. I appreciate it. And also a reminder, the Black Business School is doing a mastermind on NFT investing. If you've ever been fascinated about NFTs, Tiala Kid and her whole family, they're all investing in NFTs and they're making a ton of money. And she was really talking to me about a lot of interesting things like airdrops and money that people are making from the creation of NFTs, buying and selling, all this other stuff. So if that's of interest to you, if that's something you want to dig into and get involved with in a group collective with accountability and everything else, then feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. We start tonight at 8 o'clock. So you can go to boycewatkins.com, just look for the NFT Mastermind. It's right there at the top, and you can join us and get started. Classes begin tonight. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. God bless you. And I see Shavante says, I already joined. I'm excited. Good. And I want you to let us know how you feel, like, what your experience is. We have a full money back guarantee in the Black Business School. We have a great customer support team. We want to know how happy you are, and we always want to make it right with you. We do not want you to invest anything in the Black Business School if you are not 100% happy. So I want everybody to know that as well. So feel free to just give us a try. Take a look. You guys know I'm a college professor. I've taught on many college campuses: the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, the Ohio State University, Syracuse University, and the Black Business School is a university we designed because we believe that our people should be educating our people. We believe that we should be taking charge of our educational process, and that's what we're doing, and we're doing it very well. We have 150,000 students worldwide, and we're just damn good at what we do. And also on YouTube, by the way, it's kind of cool. In the last 48 hours, over 1 million people have watched my YouTube channel. So apparently what the message we have is resonating with you. And I want to say I appreciate all of you, and God bless you. We love you. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all soon. Take care now. Peace.